Hello everybody, welcome back to Read and Reread. I am Angelia and today I'm going to talk about some of my reading plans for 2024. I didn't think I was going to do one of these videos. I thought as the year turned around the corner, I thought, no, I don't really need to do like a reading goals, whatever video. I don't really have any goals. I'm just going to go month by month and see what I want to participate in, and I have no goals, or maybe just one goal. But the more I thought about it and started watching other people's videos and started putting together plans, I realized I actually do have an overarching kind of plan and quite a few things that I'm participating in that are long-term, year-long, etc., in addition to the monthly events that come up. And I do have a couple of overall goals or things that I want to tweak about my reading habits. So a little bit late, but I am now going to make one of these reading plans videos. So I hope everyone is doing well. I know that there are crazy storms and freezes all over the US at least, and even here it is in the 20s this morning, and that is really unusual down here in the coastal bend. And in fact, I'm going to insert a picture in a second. We went on a weekend trip, but we came back a little bit early because we wanted to use the last day of reasonable everyday cold weather to get some things weatherized around the house, faucets and vents and things, and bring in our patio plants. And we also brought in this loose shingle that has a monarch chrysalis on it. We have some monarch activity going on in the front and backyard right now, but I hope that the rest of the butterflies went on to Mexico to escape this cold snap. But we were able to bring in this one guy here. And the thing is, it kind of looks different today. I think he might emerge while it is still in the house, because it's really not going to be warm enough until Thursday to put it back outside without it freezing. So we might have a butterfly visitor in the house before it's all over. So we're reading up on what to do, because apparently that is a thing, and they can live inside your house if they have to. So yeah, excitement. The natural world comes indoors. So let me know what's going on wherever you live. Is it snowing? What's the deal? But let's talk about 2024. So first of all, I'm going to talk about some long range or year-long reading events or challenges that I want to participate in this year. And then a few smaller things or personal projects and little things about my reading that I might want to improve or focus on a little bit. All right, so first of all, the BookTube Prize. I did sign up to do that again this year. I'm going to judge in the fiction division, and I have RSVP'd for the first round. It doesn't mean that I'll necessarily be picked. It's all in a software that is usually used for people that are judging debate tournaments, but the way that it puts groups together and picks judges works for the BookTube Prize. So what's going to happen is at the first of the month of February, everyone who's judging in the first round will get a ballot and a group of 6 books, because all the books that we voted on will be narrowed down to 48 and grouped into groups of 6 for the octo final. So if I am chosen in the first round on February 1st, I'll find out about 6 books that I need to read in February and March, and that will impact those TBRs for those months. So I have to leave some space, because they may be books that I have not read. And then it's a higher chance in the first round that I will not have read them. As you go through, you start hitting books you already read, but if I'm in the first round, maybe not. And by the way, everything that I am mentioning, if it is associated with a booktuber or a channel, I'll put a link to that channel in the notes. All right, the next one that I am doing throughout the year is the 24 and 24 Banned Book Reading Challenge that is hosted by MJ of This Reading Life. And I've talked about this one before. The challenge here is to read 2 books every month that have been banned or challenged. They can be from any genre, any age group, whatever you want to do. For me personally, One book fits in most months with the fact that I participate in a banned book club at the public library. And those are usually classics because they pick books that there are multiple copies of so that everybody in the group can get one and not feel like they have to buy it. And then the other book, I'm focusing personally on children's or young adult fiction because that's near to my heart as a former educator and librarian. Oh, and this is a great one too because everyone can participate. There are books, any other kind of goal that you're trying to meet, if it's about genres or types of authors, or you're looking to increase the diversity in your reading, this is a great one to do because a lot of times that's part of why the book was banned. It might be by an LGBTQ author or a person of color or a marginalized community, and part of that is why it was banned and part of why we should try even harder to make sure everyone has access to that book. So for January, I read Huckleberry Finn, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow at the library. And then the other one I read was The Giver. And The Giver is also part of another little ongoing reading project that I'll talk about in a minute. But it is frequently banned and challenged, and it is a young adult novel. Dystopian book, excellent book. I know that the February book for the library challenge is Like Water for Chocolate, and I don't feel real excited about that one because I'm aware of that book, and I chose not to read it the first time it came around because I'm just not that big into the magical realism as a major aspect of the novel. Let me know if I'm wrong and I should give this book a shot, but I might shift and pick my own banned book in that category. And then for the second book, I do have a couple of books in mind that I'll talk about when I get to my February TBR. They are children's picture books that have been banned or challenged. And I'm just gonna go on from there with the 24 and 24. The next two are sponsored by other or hosted by other channels, and I'm going to dip in and out. I might be a fair weather friend in these reading challenges, but they are really cool, very interesting, and I do want to participate to some extent. And the first one is called Science Fiction for the Somewhat Hesitant, and that is hosted by Alex at Alex Unabridged. And I wouldn't say that I'm somewhat hesitant. I actually do read a good amount of science fiction and speculative fiction, but I really liked the overview of titles that are going to be included in this challenge. So go over to his channel and take a look at the lineup, and it's pretty good. The Giver actually comes up later on in the year, so I could talk about it a second time in the Discord that is linked to this challenge. But I'm gonna sort of jump in on this one in March because the January and February are just not books that fit into my reading plans right now. They're very full. But in March, the books selected, one of them I already have and have been eager to get to, and that's The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. In fact, I read the first story one day when I just felt the need for a little bolt of science fiction. But I'll probably save the rest for March. And the other one in March was Day of the Triffids, which my library has, and I have been interested in reading this book by John Wyndham. So that I'm gonna hope I can fit that one in as well. But that one is basically, it's an introduction to science fiction, American and UK science fiction, young adult and adult, and there's just a lot of different topics and genres that are going to be covered, and there's just an excellent lineup of books, and a lot of them just dovetail with other things I was already doing this year. So that I think will be really fun, and to participate in the Discord conversation. Another one that looks really fun is the Read Goods Challenge. Wait, Reads Good? Read Goods? Reads Good? I will double check, but Ben Reads Good is the channel. Ben Reads Good. I'm going to get this out of my mouth eventually. Anyway, he started a challenge, and based on things that he really wanted to do and read this year, and inviting other people to also choose books and read along. And so again, I am skipping January because I found out about this after January was already overflowing, but I'm going to chime in March. No, February. I'm going to come in on it on February. So January was, and there's a lot of puns in this one, so I hope you're okay with puns, but January was Annuary, which was read a book by an author named Anne Patchett, Ann Tyler, Annie Ernaux, somebody Anne. And so it's a great topic, but I had to pass because I'm full. And then February is Feverbury. I don't know. It's some kind of pun that I can't quite get my tongue around. But it's about reading books about pandemics, post-apocalyptic. It could be real or imaginary, speculative pandemics. So he has a Storygraph for this challenge, and I was not a participant of Storygraph, but I joined it just so I could have a quick guide to the challenge and see the books that people are recommending in each category. So I'm not going to be recording things for myself in Storygraph, but I will put books into the challenge and get ideas from the different sections. Pandemic one, the range of books is really interesting already because people put things like Station 11, and he started this one because he wants to read Severance by Ling Ma, and which is a great thing to include in this category. And so other things like that, The Stand, things that are speculative fiction about pandemics. And then there's just kind of generally more apocalyptic stories. And I have this book that I purchased recently called The Blue Book of Nebo that I want to read. So I'm saving it for this event. This one has to do, it's not a disease pandemic, it's after nuclear disasters. But that's also, there's an umbrella for this theme, so I think I'm going to read this book. But I saw some excellent titles already listed in the Storygraph. Some people also put real pandemics. I saw Hamnet in there, so the plague, and a couple of books about the plague. I saw books in there, fiction and nonfiction about AIDS, like The Great Believers, and I think somebody put the band played on in there, and there was some about the flu epidemic of 1918. So it could be, you could read historical fiction, science fiction, nonfiction. You could read a lot of things and still be doing the prompt. So, and it moves on. There's very interesting things all year, so take a look, and I'll be talking about them as I do my monthly TBRs. The next one is a Shakespeare reading project called The Bard Room, or at least the Discord where we're talking about it is called The Bard Room, and that is with Melinda at Web of Stories. She is randomly pulling out the name of a Shakespeare play each month this year. Or I don't know if it'll be every month. There might be a couple of I don't know if there's any skip months. But anyway, it's a monthly thing. And the January play is A Winter's Tale. I'm almost done. I think I'm going to finish reading it today. And we're talking about it in her Discord. So go to Melinda's channel, check out her Discord and her channel if you want to read some Shakespeare this year. And the February selection is The Merry Wives of Windsor. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm also reading some children's and YA literature with Michael, who you see commenting on this channel under as Web of Dust. No, I always say that. Web of Stories is Melinda. Book of Dust is Michael, or Caleb Trask on Discord. So you may have seen him here and there, but we both were formerly children's librarians. So we are reading the Lois Lowry quartet of books that started with The Giver, and then currently reading Messenger. And then in a couple of months, we're going to read the other two books in the quartet. I kind of invited myself along in that project, and I'm continuing to invite myself. So I think we might be reading some Christopher Paul Curtis in February, I think. Kind of talking about that. And I'm just trying to leave some space in my year. This is one of my goals in general, is to not overfill, be more careful about overfilling each month, because I want to leave some space for my own mood reading and for buddy reads that might pop up along the way. And I know that there are people that I have talked to informally in comments about buddy reads where something about a book came up. It was like, hey, we should read that in next year. And I don't exactly remember what they were. So if you and I talked about doing a buddy read this year, and you are remembering it and you still want to do it, shoot me a comment, because I would have to go back and comb through all my comments from all my videos to remember which books. If we didn't just talk about it like in the last couple weeks, it is somewhere in the peripherals of my disordered mind. So give me a buzz if we talked about something and you want to put it on the schedule, because I'm trying to leave room, and because that's just really fun to do those buddy reads. Even this video is highly disorganized. I wasn't even going to make it, and now I'm making it, and I'm rambling all over the place. So believe it or not, I have set up a page for every month of the year in my reading journal to try to hone down the thoughts and the book ideas to the different months, and to prevent myself from agreeing to read 50 books in the same month. Let's talk about a couple of other personal projects. I had a personal goal. This is where I began. I thought that my only real goal for 2024 was to read at least one nonfiction book a month. That is a goal. And then I realized really all these other things are actually goals to participate in all of these events. So I actually ended up with a bunch of goals. But I do want to read more nonfiction, and I am organizing that. I have in my journal, my TBR, my written TBR pages, I've separated them so that I now have fiction consideration list, and that's where I put all the ideas of books I hear about that sound like I might want to read them. I just write them all down, and then I indicate if the library has them. So I know what I might want to read and whether or not I could get it from the library or consider it as a purchase. And then I separated and put the nonfiction on its own list so that I have an easy place to look for what I want to think about, what I might want to read next. So I do have a nonfiction book sitting on my cart that I haven't read yet. That's my January selection. Stay tuned. And then I also have my February book picked out. I could read more than those if I want to, but I'm going to read at least one a month. Also, I am rereading Kate Atkinson's Jackson Brodie series. And I did read Case Histories as a buddy read with Debbie. We had a good time discussing this book. And my goal here is to read one of these Jackson Brodie books each month, and that will lead me up to the release of the new book in the series. So that means that in February, I want to read One Good Turn, which is the next book in the series. Another reread plan is the Lucy Barton books. So I do have My Name is Lucy Barton, and that's kind of in my January plans. I think I will get to it by the end of the month, and then I would read anything as possible in February. If I don't get to this book till February, it'll move forward accordingly. There's 4 books in this set, and I have 2 of them. A third one is on the way that I found at Thrift Books, and I think I got it for free. I had like a freebie coming. And then the one that I don't have yet is O. William. So I have the first 2, then I need to find O. William, and then I have Lucy by the Sea is on its way to me. So that is the kind of the big picture. Like I said, I'm trying to leave space open because I do like to participate in a lot of those monthly events. And some of them I know are coming, like February with African American fiction. And I know, and then like the ones that are Jane Austen in July and Nonfiction November and Pride Month. And I like all those monthly events. And sometimes new ones pop up that I also want to participate in, and leave room for just random things I feel like reading and mood reads, spontaneous buddy reads that might pop up where someone else and myself are interested in the same thing. And so I read a lot, but I'm trying to slow down just a little bit and make sure that I have time for all the things I really enjoy, and I don't feel artificial pressure, because this is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a hobby. I don't have numerical goals for my reading. I was surprised. I do know how many I've read. I know that last year I read 120 books, and that was a surprise. I would have guessed it was close to 100. I didn't know it had gone over until it was happening. And I didn't do it on purpose. I don't know if I read shorter books or whatever. And for this year, I would again guess it would be somewhere around 100, might be less, might be more. I don't really care. But I do know that I want to feel relaxed. I want to feel like I am not hustling or feeling like I have to hurry and get to this other book. And I have learned that my maximum books to read at one time is 2. The recent experiment of reading 3 was highly uncomfortable, and it resulted in poor old Bleak House is just sitting over there, and I have not read from that book since about last Thursday. So Bleak House is on a hiatus, but I will come back to it. I didn't plan that out very well, the timing. So, I mean, it's kind of silly. The whole thing is just my free choice activity, so I should never feel pressured. I do like to slow down and savor the pages a little bit more. So that's really my only, I need to just chill it out. And also that when I participate in an event, it's okay if I only read one book for the event. I don't need to have 40 book TBR for Pride Month or 8 nonfiction books or whatever. You know, I sometimes I get a little carried away, and there's just so many things I would like to read, and I need to remember that every single week and every single month is a great time for any of the books. It's okay if I just highlight one of them for the event and don't worry about all the categories and the prompts and all of that stuff. So really just taking it down maybe just a little half of a notch. All right, that's it. Stay tuned for February TBR for the specifics of what I'm going to read next month. And I do have ideas for African American History Month, some fiction and nonfiction of mine for that I'm excited about. And I need to see what else is coming up in February. I feel like there's another big one that I'm forgetting. But anyway, that's it. That's the master plan. Let me know if any of that sounds like something you would also want to participate in, or what your big master plans are for 2024 reading. And I will be back on Friday with Friday Read, so we can see what happened in this actual week right now that we are having of reading. And if I get a butterfly, I'll give you a picture. All right, bye-bye.